Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Tack Unbridled. I'm your host, Daniel. How are you guys doing today? I gotta admit, I'm a bit sore. I'm a bit tired. We had our main water line going to our house, decided it wanted to leave the chat, flooded the driveway, spent pretty much until almost midnight digging everything up, changing out putting in a new pipe and all that. So I'm whooped. I am whooped this morning, but show must go on. So today, this podcast, I really want to talk about the misconceptions of being self-employed. Both the misconceptions that people have against us and the misconceptions that I had about being in business. It's kind of a two-parter. And they're not just tax store specific. These go the whole range of just about any self-employed business owner of anything that I could think of. So the number one misconception, at least in my opinion, the number one misconception that people have against my business is that I'm rich. That I am sleeping on a mattress full of cash and that I'm just living the life because I'm a business owner. And I cannot tell you how far that is from the truth. Backing up just a little bit, this is a podcast. It really should have been the first one I ever did because this really ties into so many podcasts that are going to be coming down the line. The last one we did was Hands Out, which this goes hand in hand with that. I think one of the reasons why so many people show up with their hands out is because they think that I'm just rolling in the dough. Now that being said, I'm not poverty stricken by any means, but the cars that the newest car that I own is 21 years old. I can struggle to get bills paid on time, in a timely manner. I fully believe, and I know for a fact that I could go to work for somebody else and make more money and have better benefits and better time on the clock and honestly less stress working for somebody else than I do myself. And a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people think that because I'm self-employed that I'm rich, that I got struck with the what's the word? That I'm just doing, much better than I actually am. Now I'm not here to throw a pity party by any means. It's not that at all. But it's a very huge misconception that people have that that I'm rich, that I'm just I've got gobs of cash laying all over the place. This business, like every business, has its ups and downs. There's certain months where, I do really good, and I'm like, boy, made the right decision. Everything is, coming up roses. And then there's months, this past February, wow, we got slammed with some cold weather, like Virginia's never seen before, and sales just stopped. So you have a really great month, December, and then you have nothing in February. So, but that's the big one. That's the biggie. Number two, people think that because I'm self-employed and I own my own business, that I don't work hard. And, that again irks me. Cannot be farther from the truth. Same thing. If I went to work for somebody else and I punch that time clock, when I clock out and leave, that's the end of it. But being self-employed, once I turn the open sign off and go home, it doesn't end. It does not end. Sometimes that's just when it begins. Um, it it is a 24/7, 365 job. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to be successful and to have the longevity that I've had so far with this business. And then well, you can do whatever you want. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have deadlines. If I want to be successful, I have to buckle down and work hard. Now, if I don't want to be successful, then yeah, I guess that misconception would hold true that yeah, I can do whatever I want, come and go, and do whatever the heck I want. But not if you want to be successful. Which ties into misconception. I think number 3 is the fact that oh, you're a business owner, you can do whatever you want, you can set your own hours, you can come and go, and again, not if you want to be successful. Where our store is located, directly behind me across the road is a Sheetz, and directly across the other road is a food truck. And this food truck, boy, they've got fantastic food. And I look at them out the window all the time, and everybody, oh, just close the store up and go over there and get yourself some food. Well, yeah, technically, I guess I could, but not if I want to be successful. Because in that 10 minutes it takes me to go across the road, I could miss out on a phone call, or somebody could pull in and try to come in and see, that I have a be back in 10 minute sign hanging on the door, and they're not going to come back because they're in a rush. They got to go somewhere. So, people are like, oh, well, you can leave, you got a slow day, leave early, or come in late, or like, no, once the hours for the business are established, I have to stick to it. It's not this free for all, come and go as I please and do whatever I want. It's not that case. It's not the case, and that's a big misconception that people have, is that, well, you're the business owner, you set the rules, you do whatever you want. Not if I want to be successful. And that's the big key is, it's a lot of perseverance and a lot of self-discipline to be successful. And again, when I say successful, it's not that I'm lining my pockets full of cash. For me, the definition of success is longevity. The fact that I've been in business for 14 years on my own. And there's so many in that time that have come and gone because they don't realize the sacrifice it takes to be self-employed and to be a business owner. Here's a couple other ones, or a couple other misconceptions. And this one is kind of specific to us, but it crosses the line with some other businesses too. People feel that, we're a tack store. So people feel that since we're a tack store, I have access to every piece of horse equipment on the planet. And that's not the case. I have to set up accounts with the companies that I feel are going to represent what I want to sell the best. Now, there's some companies that are like a big corporation, big corporate type thing. So they're like a parent company that have a bunch of different brands underneath them. And then I also work with individual companies that sell just, one product or one brand name. But people call a lot or come in and they're like, oh, I need I'm just going to, you guys might know, you might not, but I need a Horseware Ireland blanket. And that's a specific company. They sell blankets called Rambos. I don't have an account with Horseware Ireland. So when they come in, they're like, oh, I need a Rambo blanket. And I'm like, oh, I can't get it. Well, what do you mean? You're a tack store. It doesn't work that way. Each of these companies, now every single one of them are different, but they all have stipulations on setting accounts up. So Horseware Ireland specifically, it's somewhere, I looked into it years ago, it's somewhere around a $10,000 opening order that you have to do. And then they put in these stipulations where you have to order so many products per year. You have to have so many of their products in your store at any given time. Some companies, I'm not saying them specifically, but some companies tell you what products you're going to put in your store. And I'm like, well, who the heck are you? You don't know my market. So that's a big misconception we run into a lot, is that people just think that I have just this unlimited, unlimited availability to get any product that they want. Though, oh, I saw this, amazing grooming brush. Do you have it? I'm like, no, I don't. Oh, what do you mean you don't have it? Why can't you get it? Well, sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, but I have to open up accounts with these companies. And, for a small business like me, that's a lot of money, a lot of money that I have to dedicate to these companies to get their product in. And if they're, not going to sell, then there's no point in me bringing it in. We run into it a lot with, it's called HABA, health and beauty aid stuff. So the fly sprays, the shampoos, the, treats, that kind of stuff. So when people come in, they're like, oh, I only use, the red bottle of fly spray. Do you have the red bottle? I'm like, no, but I have the yellow, the orange, the green, the blue, the black bottle. Well, I only use the red and I have to have the red. And why don't you have the red bottle here? That may be the only red bottle I'll ever sell the entire year. So it doesn't make sense for me to bring that red bottle of fly spray in. And that's just kind of an example, but it is definitely a misconception that we fight against a lot here, is that, and saddles are another one. They're a big one. And saddle companies, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Some of these saddle companies want you, a minimum of 3 saddles. Well, when these saddles are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, my cost, like that's a lot of money. So they come in, they're like, oh, I need a brand X saddle. Why don't you have it here? You're a tack store. You're supposed to have it. No, it simply doesn't work that way. Now, if I have enough requests for certain items, I will look into that company and possibly set up an account. But it's a misconception for sure. Another big misconception. This one really, really gets under my skin, is that because I'm a business owner, I can charge whatever I want. And that is absolutely not the case. Few different reasons. One, on the new products that we sell here, companies have what's called MAP pricing, minimum advertised pricing. So I'll give you a hypothetical here. Say I have an account with Troxel helmets, okay? And say I bring in, these numbers and stuff are made up, but you'll get the point. Say I bring in their helmet A. So their minimum advertised pricing, say, is $70 for this helmet. Now, if I advertise the helmet for $50, A, it cuts into my profit big time, but B, if they find out that I'm advertising it less for what they have made the minimum, I can lose my account. Now, there is some loopholes and stuff to get around that, but that's just the simple fact of the matter, is a lot of these companies that I have accounts with dictate the price. And they do that so stores and websites and stuff aren't undercutting each other. Well, I saw it online for $50 and you've got it here for $70. Well, whoever's got it online for $50 is breaking the law. And you can, call them out on it and stuff and contact Troxel and they'll look into it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But, people just think that I can just, set the price and just charge whatever I want. So then they, come in and it drives me insane. What's the best price you can give me on this? The price that's on the tag. The price that's on the tag. And it drives me nuts. Maybe these people do, but I seriously doubt it. They don't go to McDonald's and say, hey, what's the best you can do on the price of this Filet-O-Fish? No, you don't go to Walmart. What's the best price you can do? Or go to the gas station. I'm buying 20 gallons, so can you give me a discount? It doesn't work that way. But then they come in here and see me as the business owner and, oh man, can you cut me a deal? What's the best you can do? And do you know who I am? I don't care. It doesn't work that way. I have a family to feed and I have bills to pay. Now I have overhead to keep this place going. If I cut everybody a deal that came in here, I again would not be successful. Now that being said, the same goes the other way around. I'm not gouging people. Because I understand, the cost of $1 anymore and how tough it is out there. So I'm not gouging. When it comes to the new products, whatever the manufacturer's suggested retail or whatever the MAP pricing is, that's what the price is on the tag. Now, when it comes to the used items, there's a little bit more to it than that. Now I don't have any rules or guidelines to price the used stuff, but I price it accordingly with fair market value. And, if saddles are the big one, everybody thinks, well, this saddle is, a consignment saddle. Call a consignor and see if they're willing to make a deal. No, I'm tired of doing that. I do not do that anymore. I do my homework. I look online. I check, different sites and stuff and see what an average ballpark price is for certain items, and I price it accordingly. Sometimes I'll mark it down a little bit more if it's a used saddle and the fair market value on it is $2,000. I might do $1,800. But when they come in and they're, it says $2,000, would you take $1,000 if I paid cash? No, absolutely not. And it's insulting to me when they try to lowball you. This isn't a flea market. We're not a negotiation type thing. The name of the business is Mad Tack. It's not let's make a deal. But the big misconception out there is that people just come in and, you're the business owner. Give me a discount. You can charge whatever you want. No, it absolutely is not the case. Another little misconception. I don't really run into this one too terribly often, but it has happened in the past. A lot of people. This one's a little comical, but a lot of people don't realize that I'm the business owner. So I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but the horse industry, for the most part, I'm not making any kind of blanket accusations, but for the most part, is a female based industry. There's not a whole lot of men that run tack stores. So I do have the occasional customer that comes in and, sometimes they'll crack a joke. Oh, you're holding the store down for your wife, blah, 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 which that just, you just made a fool of yourself because, I am the owner. My wife is not involved with Mad Tack anymore. And every once in a while I'll get a customer that'll be, oh, can I see the manager? Let me talk to the person in charge. And I'm like, you're looking at them. That one, it is a misconception that I run into. I don't want to say it's a sexist thing, but just about every other tack store that I know of and that I've ever been to, except for one up in Rhode Island that I went to, they're all run by women. So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I get along great with the large majority of them, but it is a misconception, that I'm not the owner, that I'm just some schlub employee here holding the fort down. And a lot of them, some of them, don't take me seriously. I've been in this industry more, than 14 years. I know my way around horses and I know my way around tack. But because I'm not a female, they don't take me seriously all the time. I just roll with that. That one doesn't irk me too bad. But yeah, so those are some of the key, and I know I'm missing some, but those are some of the biggest misconceptions that other people have against me. Number one, that I'm totally rich, and that again, not true. That I don't work hard. As a business owner, I can do whatever the heck I want. Not true. That I can do anything I want and I can set my own hours and I can come and go and all of that. Absolutely not true. People feel that I have unlimited access to just about every piece of tack on the planet, which is not the truth. Everybody wants, a discount. Everybody thinks that I can charge whatever I want. Absolutely not the case. And then I have a few that misconcept me as not knowing what I'm talking about or want to talk to my manager or what have you. And all of those couldn't be farther from the truth. So on the flip side of it, I have just a couple misconceptions, and I might stretch this out into another podcast as well. But I threw a couple of these in as myths that I personally had about being a business owner, tinging on the aspect of being like a little naive with certain things, but they're noteworthy. Number one, and my wife actually brought this to my attention, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a very valid point. I will definitely talk about that in the podcast. Business owners, if you're a new business owner, these are just heads up points for you. If you're an established business owner, you already know what I'm talking about. The amount of time I have to dedicate as a business owner for paperwork, and it's paperwork all across the board for just about every, angle of this business. But mostly the paperwork involved with special licenses and permits, they, depending on where, your business is located, you'll have state, you'll have county, possibly town, possibly, local. There's ordinances, there's permits, there's licenses, there's personal property taxes. Like, you are on your own to figure out all of this stuff. Most government websites are a disaster, and trying to find out information is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And I keep saying they, but no one is out there to help you until you screw up, and then they all show up. So you have to take initiative to figure out what special licenses or permits or paperwork that needs to be filed and filled out with any government agency or any local ordinances, for sign permits, you name it, you're on your own. I wish that counties, maybe not states. Well, I would say states, counties, towns, all of those. I wish they would put together like a folder for new business owners with the do's and don'ts and the paperwork and the stuff that you have to do to get established. Nobody does that, at least around here. I haven't found anywhere that does any of that stuff. So that is a big misconception that I had. Not that I was expecting any kind of red carpet treatment or people out, to help you, but you are on your own. And here's a little piece of advice. If you take anything away from this podcast, take this away. Nobody, and I mean nobody on this planet, will care about your business as much as you do. And that was something that I kind of knew going into it, but it is a hard lesson to learn. Employees, friends, family, government, that nobody cares. So you have got to do it. It's up to you. And that's a misconception that I had, was that, I just thought that, I can go to their website and I can find out what I need. No, that ain't enough. Phone calls, heck, sometimes they aren't even enough. I'll give you a little example. This happened years and years and years ago. We first opened up our first location. We looked up and down to find out, what was involved with putting signs up. Couldn't find anything anywhere for business signs. So I put signs up. I had 3 signs on our main store, and it sounds like a lot, but it really wasn't. They were kind of these signs that hung down. One said Mad Tack, and one said New and Used Tack, and one said Custom Horse Jumps. And we had 2 other buildings. Each of the other buildings, one was a saddle shop, said Mad Tack Saddle Shop. One was the one that we build the horse jumps in, Mad Tack Custom Horse Jumps. And then I had, I believe, 2 banners hanging on the railing. One was for one was for Weaver Leather. I forgot what the other one was for. They were up for about 3 years, something like that. We get this letter in the mail from the town of Madison stating that every single sign that we have is against their ordinance, and they were fining us $50 per sign. It was a $350 fine for not abiding by their sign ordinances. Well, it turns out all it really was is they wanted $50 per sign as a permit. None of them were against ordinance regulations. They just didn't have money in their pocket. So when I actually got a copy, after bugging and I got a copy of the actual rules and regulations for signs, they had a thing in there about temporary portable signs. So I pulled all of our signs down and I mounted them on horse jump standards, and I brought them in and out every night. And man, did they not like that. Oh boy, did they not like that. Ultimately, in the long run, we worked with the actual town and, made proper signs, got rid of the banners. They considered the banners a sign. It was absolutely ridiculous. But that is a big misconception that, I personally had, was that, that people are out there to help you, and unfortunately they're not. You're on your own. And like I said, nobody will care about your business as much as you do. It's the simple fact. So be prepared. If you are starting your own business, more power to you. And I definitely encourage you to do it. But be very diligent about it. And you're going to spend a lot of time with paperwork, with permits, being on the phone, calling government agencies. I didn't even get into like opening an account with companies to sell their product. The amount of time involved with that. You would think that I'm opening up a section of my store for their product. You would think that they would be happy about that. No. Nope. So be prepared. There's a lot of time involved with that. And here's the last misconception that I'm going to leave you with. And this one I knew. This wasn't a misconception for me, but I see this happen to a lot, and I mean a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses that start up and have great intentions and ultimately crash and burn. And I don't mean this to be rude, but I'll be blunt. Love is not enough. Just because, I'll take my situation, as a tack store owner. Just because I love horses has absolutely nothing to do with me being successful as a tack store owner. I mean, nothing. There's been, I'm not going to name any names, but there's been quite a few tack stores, and I use that loosely, for people that just, they're riders. They love horses. They're boarding horses, and they love it, and they want to be, involved. So they open up a tack store, and they crash and burn because they have no business savviness. And that is a major key in being successful. Love is not enough. Watching Hallmark movies about horses is not enough. Now, you do have to enjoy what you're doing, for sure. I mean, there's no way around that. But, I really have not ridden a whole lot since I was like 16, 17 years old. But before I opened up Mad Tack, I did some riding, not a lot, but I did some. But since I've opened up Mad Tack, and it's been, again, 14 years now, I think I've been on a horse twice. There's no time. And that's a misconception that a lot of, new business owners have. And it kind of stems back into even some of the misconceptions that people have against us. They've got those misconceptions themselves about, oh, well, I'm a business owner, so I can come and go as I please. No, not if you want to be successful. But that's a big thing that I see, and it's a shame. I don't wish ill will on any other business, and it's not just tack stores. You love food, you love to cook food, so you open up a restaurant. Loving and cooking food have nothing to do with running a successful restaurant. Cooking the food is probably the least of it. It's the customer interaction that it can make or break you. And I see it, again, across the board with a lot of different companies. Even the service industry type businesses and stuff. But you have to have a business savviness, a business mentality in order to be successful and to have longevity of your business. Just loving, the product, or, it. I don't mean to come off callous. I don't want to, squash anybody's dreams on this, but, that's a big misconception. People just feel that, oh my God, I love candles, and I'm going to be, this successful, candle shop. And then they can't figure out why, that they've lasted a year or so, and then they're going out of business. Because making candles is not really nothing to do with it. It's the customer interaction. It's the marketing. It's the social media stuff. It's the paperwork. It's the, paying the overhead. It's the simple fact, like I said before, that nobody cares about your business as much as you do. And, you think that, oh, because I love candles, everybody else loves candles, and everybody's going to come in and buy my candles. It doesn't work that way. I hate to break it to you, but it simply just doesn't work that way. So I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave on a bad note like this, because I do. I love what I do, and I. It's a lot of people say, well, if everything is so bad, which it's not, but if it could be so much better working for somebody else, why do you do it? Why are you self-employed? I've been asked a lot too, like, if the day ever comes where you've got to, close the business, what would you do? To be honest, it's been so long since I've worked for somebody else that I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure. Why do I do it when I could make more money and have better benefits working for somebody else? I'm an independent person. I don't like taking orders. I like experimenting and trying new things. That's kind of why I do it. And I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn. I'm going to stick with something. I started this, and I've put a ton of blood, sweat, and tears into this place. And I'm too stubborn to let it go. So I'm here for the long run. Now, if, the economy's not doing great now either, but, if the day comes where, I literally had to close up, then, I would close up, and I would honestly probably try to start another business in something else. But I just don't know that I could, at this point in my life, I just don't know if I could go back to work for somebody else. So I really do encourage you, to do it, to start your own business, to be self-employed, to be self-sufficient. But don't go into it naive. Go into it diligent, with your homework done. All of these misconceptions that people have against you, or you have against, being self-employed, do your homework on every single one of them. It's very important. If you want to sustain, be successful, have some longevity to your business, do your homework. These are things that some of them I had to learn on the fly. I have a college degree in business, and a lot of it has helped. But a lot of real world situations I've had to learn on the fly. I had to learn on my own, and there really wasn't anybody there to help it. Now, I say that with an asterisk. Sam and I did initially start this together. And she had retail background working for a big box. But even that being said, the two of us, we had to learn on our own, on the fly. It's working for somebody else is not the same as working for yourself. So there was a lot we had to learn. We had to learn quick if we were going to survive. We had to learn quick. So anyway, I think that about wraps this one up. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I didn't want it to be, woe is me, and I don't want to start my own business after listening to this. No, that's not what I meant this at all. I want you guys to be successful, and it's just do your homework. There's a lot involved with it. Don't go in, as we say in the horse industry, don't go in with the blinders on. Because it's tough. It is tough to be self-employed. So anywho, again, hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know down below, what would you like me to talk about next? I got a list here of some new ideas, some things I want to talk about. But is there anything specific that you guys would like me to talk about? Please just let me know down below. And thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you liked it. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.